my people right here, right now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah.
To watch premieres, full-length episodes, and all new content, subscribe to The Honest Luke Show on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know many presenters that have an oven in their recording studio.
What?
Have an oven in the recording studio. This is quite impressive. You just brought this oven in tonight just for us. It's amazing.
Stop giving away the facts, the secrets of the recording studio. Graham did that on the first episode, which you probably haven't seen yet. But
Luke, cheers.
cheers. We're going to talk about
Yakida.
we're going to talk about some deep stuff, but
We're going to have a go.
yeah, we're going to have a go. Anyway,
Yeah.
let me just plug in. So, it's easy to remember the date today because it's May the 1st.
Not the 4th. Be with you. But the 1st.
It's the 1st of May,
Mm-hmm.
2021. In the studio tonight is Sarah Borthwick for episode 2 from Cafe Kombucha in Elgin. Thank you very much for coming in today, and we're going to talk about mental health.
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. And although you wouldn't have seen it, there have been some changes to the studio since the first episode, which was aired last night. And I can see you looking at the on-air light. The on-air light that turned up actually during the first episode with Graham, and we had to leave it there for the first episode. But I'm pleased to see it's now on the wall and suitably level after a few. There's been a few holes drilled behind that. But if the landlady's listening, don't worry, they've all been filled in, of course, and I've not hot-wired anything to the system. But Sarah, do the honours. I know you're desperate to do it.
Here we go.
Hey, you love that.
I do.
Also, your microphone arm, the boom arm, has been upgraded since Graham was here, as you would have seen on the first interview. Although it does need weighing down slightly, which is why that other pair of headphones.
It's very nice. It's very nice.
Anyone is wondering?
Yeah. And I have a cat.
They call actually that on your microphone. They call that a dead cat. It's not hard to see why. It's not the most attractive of names, but you're looking professional.
Does the job, doesn't it?
It does. Sounding good in my ear.
Yeah.
So when guests come in, I'm going to be asking them to bring me a little treat,
A wee gift.
something to keep in the studio
Yes.
moving forwards. And so may I ask you to present me now with your gift? Something to keep on the set.
We have a wee mug for you.
Yes, a Cafe Kombucha mug.
You must have your coffee in this when you're recording.
Wow, thank you very much. And
It's a wee Cafe Kombucha mug for you.
so you kind of took my hint that I'd like you to bring a mug in if you had one. Thank you very much.
You're most
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So let's just jump straight in there.
Okay.
Well, it's Saturday night, and just try and have as relaxed as possible chatters. I know we've got the wine out and that, and we are going to limit ourselves and be careful what we drink. But you're someone who is, well, we've spoken. You're someone who's suffered with mental health.
I have.
And if I'm completely honest, bollocks.
You are honest, Luke.
Yeah, there was a reason why I'd installed a light up there. So you're someone who's suffered with mental health. So you've told me off the camera, which is why we've decided to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And I have as well. It's probably what brought me to Scotland 13 years ago in the very, very first place. But it's a taboo subject.
I think it used to be. Not so much these days. There will always be stigma. But I think it's a lot better. It's a lot more spoken about these days.
Why do you think there is a stigma attached to mental health?
Because you can't see it. You can't see it.
So
It's like a broken leg, but it's not. Because And I suppose what used to happen, obviously, is if you had any mental health issues whatsoever, you were not dealt with, you weren't helped, you were just locked away, institutionalised,
That's absolutely, you are spot on, actually.
forgotten about.
I used to play cricket in London, in North Kent, and I always remember, actually, City of London Poly was a game that we played against. The team we played against, it was a Grove Park in the Mottingham, Chislehurst area, where I was brought up. And I remember being out on the pitch on a Saturday afternoon, and this huge building towering over these cricket pitches, like the old bank pitches down there. You'd have numerous pitches, and all you could hear all afternoon was the wails and the screaming and the wailing coming from what was an asylum.
I myself had a little house in Campsie Glen in Glasgow, out in the middle of nowhere. It's now Celtic's training park, by the way, just for future reference.
Right.
And it was called Lennox Castle Hospital, and it was an institution. It was a home for the mentally impaired and unmarried mothers and whatnot.
So what you're saying, that like unmarried mothers were
they were
considered
institutionalised.
institutionalised?
Yep.
Really? Up to what age? Up to when was that?
60s, 70s.
Why were they institutionalised?
Because their families didn't want them, because it would have brought shame on their families, and they didn't have anywhere else to put them. I know of people, real women, who have gone into Lennox Castle Hospital as a 15-year-old mother and have never come out, ever. And I've met them in their 70s. Yeah. That's probably a massive subject that I only know
Hang on a minute.
briefly.
They've gone in to the Lennox Castle
Hospital. it's called.
Initially because they were pregnant.
Because they were pregnant, unmarried, and nobody knew what to do with them, so they put them in hospital.
So why have they stayed in there for all of those years? Have they become
institutionalised?
Have they become insane in there?
No, but institutionalised, where all they know is four walls, and they don't want to go out.
Is that a little bit like, I don't know, that this
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Well,
kind
the
of
Shawshank
thing.
Redemption, for
I
example.
suppose so. Yeah.
Someone stays in for so long that they
Don't want to leave. Yeah.
Well, and quite, you can understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's all you think you know, then.
Well, when you say you know a couple of people.
I'm thinking specifically about one lady I knew. She was lovely. My ex-husband was a care worker there, and or a support worker. And when care in the community, now I'm quite vague on this subject, but I do know that there was a period of time where institutions were closed down, all the residents were rehoused into the community, many were put in sheltered accommodation, supported accommodation, and they had people like my husband who would look after them in an environment that was not institutionalised, but was obviously still supported, because these people weren't able to exist socially on their own, because all they ever knew was hospital. And I do know that you were in wards with people who had had complete mental breakdowns, people who were violent, people who were broken, your unmarried mothers, your women and men who had periods of psychosis and were never treated properly. They were just pretty much locked away in places like Lennox Castle Hospital.
Is that the castle? Is that the hospital down there? There's still the ruin is still there.
It is, yes.
Because there's still if you Google ruins to go and see.
Oh, it was nothing fancy. No, there are beautiful parts of it, and there probably are. I don't actually know. I'd left Hawhead when Celtic moved in. They adopted it as a training ground. They bought the land, but there were lots of parts of it that were knocked down. But I'm not sure. There were some beautiful buildings. I don't know if they still stand. I'm not sure.
Chances are, I would think they've probably been converted into accommodation now.
But that's only one that I knew of. There are many more.
So, other than young mothers, what other people would be considered for these to be in these places?
Well, obviously, mental health wasn't.
I mean, this is
a thing.
No.
Then, and support wasn't available. I guess you were just considered mad and locked away.
So
really,
as I said about this, when I played cricket and you could hear people wailing over the wall. Now, obviously, there was a certain degree of people there that were insane, for the want of a better word. But how many of those people were driven insane by being locked up in that place in the first place?
Exactly. As you mentioned the word insane, I think, I don't know, but I'm summarising. I think everybody has the potential, the potential to lose it, if you like, and
I think it's quite possible that we've all done that, and we all will do that at some point in our life.
Yeah, maybe not all of us, but it's in a lot of people.
Well, I've got some stats.
The brain. Oh, right. Okay.
No, you carry on.
I was going to say the brain is, it's an organ like the rest. It's part of us. You break a leg, it needs time to recover. You hurt your brain, it needs time to recover.
Well, once the damage has been done, or should we say identified,
yeah,
is that damage then done for life?
I think, judging from my own experience, I think once you've been ill mentally, if you like, if you have mental health issues, and you are more inclined to suffer a word? Yeah, I would say it was.
Yeah, because
suffer
of your awareness.
Again, in the same way that breaking a leg, you may get aches and pains when it rains or when you run too far.
I mean, there's several types. I mean, I've done some research onto this.
Give me your stats.
Well, the most common forms of mental health issues are, firstly, I would say something that I've been told, I've been questioned about, and that's bipolar. And then there's anxiety.
Yep.
Depression, schizophrenia, and dementia. They're the main things.
Yeah,
I would say dementia is quite different from the others.
But is it though? In what way?
Well, dementia, to me, that word says to me that there's a physical ailment.
Yeah, but there is. What's a degenerative? Isn't it? It's an aggression. That's your oven.
I was just giving you some stats.
Yep.
I didn't actually start to do that
We
because
didn't.
the cooker went off.
The cooker did.
Bipolar.
Oofed.
Bipolar. Unknown causes, apparently, bipolar. However, 60 million people worldwide apparently suffer from that. And symptoms include irritableness, hyperactiveness, inflated self-esteem, insomnia. I remember once my mother-in-law questioning me about 14 years ago as to whether I might have bipolar. And at the time, I don't know why she said that. I mean, my ex-wife and I were going through a bit of a troubled time, shall we say. I was setting up the DJ business, and money was not good. The interest rates were really high. The mortgage was £1,200 a month. It was down in Kent, and it was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. There was no second income. That's most people must suffer from that in their lifetime. Stress of paying bills.
I would say myself, I would say that was more like anxiety. I don't know if you're born with bipolar disorder. I'm not sure. What I think I do know is it's more prolific, more prominent in men. It's more likely to be males.
Really? I didn't know that.
Suffer from bipolar. I could be wrong.
I didn't pick up on that.
I'm quite often wrong.
I didn't pick up on that in my research. I mean, you've got
ADHD as well.
Sorry?
You've got ADHD also, haven't you?
Yeah, I think that would come under bipolar.
Come under the spectrum of autism. Whether that is, autism and mental health, I'm not sure they're related, in all honesty.
Well, you're trying to dissect there. And that's what I said to you about dementia. Is that exactly is that I personally, if someone says the word dementia, I mean, I don't think you're born with dementia. No, I think Parkinson's. I think things that take a hold of you later in life. That it's almost a disability. I mean, my dad's got MS. He can't help that. That's not, that's not a condition that he's developed because of a situation. Because of his surroundings. It's something that is out of his control. So I would say that MS would be like that. I don't know. I don't know enough about MS, but I would say that MS is, MS can be hereditary, can't it? I don't know. There's been nobody in my family that had MS before my dad. I have friends who have it. I know 2 brothers that have it, funny enough. 2 brothers? Yeah. What about the dad? No. And the granddad? Pass. I'm not sure. Because sometimes they do say things skip a generation, don't they? Yep. Yeah. I have schizophrenia in my family. I have one auntie who suffered from schizophrenia. And what were her symptoms? Developed in teenage years, I believe. In all honesty, I didn't know her very well. She was my dad's sister. And she was always in the family, but I was too young to know her. She was poorly. She was very poorly with it. So how old were you at this point? She's always been there, but just a name, if you like. I did know her apparently when I was very little, but I can't remember. So what did she suffer from? Yeah, schizophrenia, but not what you read in the papers and stuff. She didn't have like voices and whatnot. She was just completely detached from reality to a certain extent that it wasn't socially acceptable. She wasn't well. She wasn't happy in social situations, and she pretty much she was exclusively on her own, living with my aunt who looked after her most of her days, and then she went into hospital in the latter years and died.
But we're not talking flowers in the attic here. We're just talking that, a very poorly person. But my lovely family looked after her rather than institutionalise her. And it was only when she got really ill she was taken to hospital.
One of the things that worries me the most of all about mental health is the effect it has on children. And there's an issue here in Elgin about a year ago of a child that took their own life.
Yeah.
And I think when something like that happens, because of bullying or for whatever reason, and you've got kids, you question the mortality of your own. And I've got 2 children who have both been affected by a form of bullying. One because of the colour of her hair, and the other one because of his size. And it frightens the life out of me. And then when things like this happen, or things like that happen, you just want to put your arms around them and squeeze them and tell them to talk. And that is the most important thing, is that if you can detect it, is that you get them to talk. And it's incomprehensible for me to understand how any human being can take their life.
Likewise, but I think people are pretty,
especially a child,
in a pretty bad place before they have to do that.
I mean, myself, I've had some dark times, but as bad as it's ever got, I've never, ever thought like along those lines.
I have once. I've had many consultations with doctors over the years, and one of the first things they do is give you a questionnaire to fill out about your well-being. And one of the questions they ask on the form is, have you ever had negative thoughts about ending your life?
Why do you think they asked that question?
Because I guess, well, that's a thing, isn't it? Some kids do, but I don't know. I do know a couple of people throughout my 52 years that have taken their own lives, but it's always been for a reason.
You actually know people?
Yeah, I know of 2. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you again.
Excuse me. No, sorry, I didn't know that.
I know 2 people that have taken their own lives. My friend in London, one of my friends in London took their own lives because they were They were gay. You're absolutely fine. You're absolutely fine. They were gay, which obviously is absolutely fine, but perhaps when I was 20 odd it wasn't so great. And he couldn't deal with it and discovered drugs and got in a bit of a mess and threw himself over a bridge. And another person I know, who's a friend of mine, his pal, had quite a major operation, and this was mid-lockdown, and he took his own life, leaving a child and a wife.
Was that up here in Murray?
Yeah.
And that was just recently?
Yeah. That was a couple of months ago.
And that was?
He'd had an operation that affected his life.
Okay.
And he couldn't deal with it. It was manageable it's a manageable operation and way of life for many people, but it wasn't for him. And he decided to kill himself rather than put his family through that. He had a massive problem with his lower bowel, and he was left with a colostomy bag, a permanent colostomy bag after surgery. So, and he couldn't deal with that.
Well, that's easy for all of us to say. I'd rather be alive than, but that's
yeah.
I mean, you just think of your life the way it is. I think of my life the way it is. You know, I'm active.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not quite as easy as it
Everybody's
is.
different, aren't they? Everybody's different. Everybody takes things differently. I'm not very good at understanding things that upset other people that don't upset me. I'm quite, for somebody who has had depression and anxiety since their teens, I'm the first to say, it's not all bad. Pick yourself up. There's good things about the world,
We can't sit here and say that somebody should have just coped with it.
Yeah, I know. And as I say, I'm not in a position to say that about anybody, because everybody's different and everybody deals with different things differently. Obviously. What's fine for me may not be fine for someone else. What upsets me may not upset everyone else, and vice versa.
Yeah. And
it's just tragic. The whole thing's tragic. But life is one big shit show. It is. But my ethos is we only get one shot at it.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy it where you can. I mean, honestly, you'd see that on a wall, wouldn't you, in a frame.
there's so many people who
Live,
love.
life, love, or
There's
live,
so many
laugh,
people
life,
dealt
whatever it
different
is.
cards, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
And you could be dealt with the best hand and have the best life.
Yeah.
And
But I also know people that have been able and have had accidents and are now in wheelchairs that are just, hey-ho, It's shit, but it's my life and I'm going to live it and enjoy it.
with mental health, is there a cure as such?
No.
If you're suffering, and what is the answer to people who
Talk about it. But I think often what you find, like I said, I have had mental health issues all my days since my teens, as long as I can remember.
Well, just give me an example, because there are there are so many different types of mental health.
I lost a baby when I was a lot younger, and I gave birth to a stillborn baby, and I saw a psychiatrist after that, and I talked and I talked and I talked about it. It didn't help me. So,
But it might have done, like,
I sound
without
a bit of a
even
hypocrite
realising.
saying you should talk to people, but I didn't appreciate talking to a stranger, whereas somebody else might.
But that might have helped you more than you realise. You say it didn't help you, but you might not be sitting there today if you hadn't have done that. And that's the message, isn't it? Really,
I guess.
It's to talk.
Yeah. But a lot of people can't talk. I've got other friends who suffer from anxiety and depression and can't talk. They become insular. What's the answer there? I'm not sure.
Why do you think people do that?
I don't know. It's just everybody's different, really. Some people are outgoing, some people aren't. Some people are funny, some people aren't. Some people are loud, etc., etc. Thank God we're all different, but being sad or being worried are quite different to being depressed and suffering from anxiety.
Yeah, because if someone gave you 10 grand and you were down in the dumps,
Woohoo!
you'd be absolutely fine again.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference between, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of mental health written down, and they're bipolar, anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, and dementia. Dementia and schizophrenia wouldn't, someone gave you £10,000 wouldn't cure you.
No.
But if you were suffering from depression because you're worried about money, it would. Or anxiety.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah, one's very physical, isn't it? Like it's a physical, where we talk about dementia, it's a degenerative disease that you lose parts of your brain different parts of your brain due to whatever, be it age or
That's part
early
of
on.
Parkinson's. And
Similar thing. I think that is quite different to depression.
it is. Depression is a result of something that's happened.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah,
300
but
million.
then you get some people that are absolutely fine. They're wealthy. They have a good marriage. They have the car. They have everything they want, but they're still depressed.
Well,
Or are they just unhappy?
you've just said that all those things probably mask over
Yeah.
the sadness,
Yeah.
and then it takes its toll eventually. I think something like mental health is something that's within all of us.
Is it like you, when you're running and you're running and you're running and you maybe do a marathon and you maybe do too much and you get a sprained knee or you get a calf injury or whatnot? I think like depression, mental health issues, anxiety, I think they can be closely related to a physical injury. Does that make sense?
I don't know, but I mean, if you took running out of my life, I think I'd be a candidate for depression. That's for sure.
You've found the perfect solution, which is exercise. Exercise is
Well, I've just
phenomenally good for mental health because you're endorphins and blah blah blah.
But when that high goes, then I'm at the other end of the spectrum, and then I need the run. Or I need to get to the gym, and it's like I almost like you're bouncing. You bounce between the highs and the lows.
Yeah, almost like manic.
I came in that shop yesterday, your first day open, and I was amazed with what you've done in there. Don't get me wrong. I thought the place looked amazing.
Yeah.
Discreetly amazing. But you were happy.
Yes.
And I love that because I came in and you were busy, and I made you miss your order up because I was talking to you.
Yeah, you did.
It was nice, and it was, you could see over the last year since the lockdown, I felt, you've come across to me, like when we've spoken, that you've been a little bit down in the dumps.
Yeah, well, there's been down in the dumps, and there's socially isolating myself to the point, an unnecessary point, whereas I don't even want to speak to anyone. I unplugged my phones. I
Really?
turned everything off. I unplugged the business phone. I don't know. It's just the way I dealt with it. And I was aware I was doing it, and I wasn't happy with the way I dealt with it. I dealt with the first lockdown very well. I felt I had a feeling of togetherness with the first one. Dare I say, we're all in it together.
Second one felt very long.
Second one was cruel. It was. That's when it became real up here. That's where I had my first feeling that this isn't actually going to go away. This is going to be part of our lives from now on. And actually, so what if it is? We just have to deal with it. That's another one. That's another podcast in the making, and I could get really, really deep about COVID, but I don't intend to because we're talking about something else this evening. But I locked myself away. 100%.
During the second lockdown?
Yeah, I did. As I say, turned my phones off.
What's your thinking behind doing that?
Took myself off Facebook.
I didn't notice you took yourself off Facebook.
Yeah. We got a kitten. Gosh.
The kitten?
Yeah, my little baby. She's gorgeous, isn't she? You've met her.
She's lovely. Even though the dog wants to eat her.
Yeah, well, yeah. So we're now the proud owner of a dog and 2 cats.
Subscribe to The Honest Luke Show on YouTube at The Honest Luke Show.
I have 2 friends here we go. Sarah's stories. I have one friend who does suffer greatly with mania, bipolar. Was originally diagnosed as bipolar, and he was medicated for bipolar.
How does he come across to you?
He's a lovely guy, but when he's not well, he's pretty not well. He's pretty not well. And he's a big lad, and he's quite intimidating. But he was misdiagnosed. He actually has ADHD. The drugs are completely different for someone who has ADHD to bipolar, although they're very similar symptoms-wise. And since he's had his medication rejigged, he's a happy bunny.
So just going back to what we were saying about the old homes where the mothers would be.
Yeah, in these
So
situations.
do you think that once upon a time that they would just chuck what would be now classed as ADHD and bipolar, they'd put them all in there? But since then they've come up with they've labelling people now. When I was a kid, when I was 6, I think roughly 6, my mum used to take me to a clinic in Chislehurst.
Mine in Chislehurst.
And I used to go in there, and at the time we didn't think anything of it. I used to go in there in the 70s.
Luke, you're not drinking your wine. It's got to be said.
I used to go in there in the 70s, and I'd sit down, and whoever the guy was, would say, try and interact with me and get me to do a drawing. And I remember sitting in there.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in there, drawing and that, and they talk to you. And you don't know at that age, do you? Like what they're getting,
What they're
at,
there for.
what they're there for, the angle.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just think you've gone to do some nice drawings.
There's some nice folk.
Yeah, and when I was like that age, that my mum was taking me in to do that sort of thing. But they talk about ADHD now. Is it right? Is it right, or is it just a part of being a child?
Wow, now there's a big one.
Because, okay, I know all children aren't naughty. Some children are. Some are attention seekers. I had a brother who was 2 years younger, and in my opinion, he used to get favoured over me. So I used to rebel against that.
Yeah.
But that's life. But this this labelling unfair?
Is it a modern thing?
And why is it? And has it got something to do with food?
Oh, now you're speaking to the wrong person. But I have a cousin who has refused to give her kids the vaccines that you would get as a child for your MMR and all those other things. And she brought her children up to be vegetarian. No paracetamol, nothing manufactured. Would they have?
Apparently 18% of the people in America suffer from anxiety. It's quite high, isn't it? It's a fifth, nearly.
Myself,
40 million people.
personally, I've had anxiety for longer than I can remember. Depression comes secondary to that when anxiety becomes too much and too repetitive, and
Right.
it's
So you feel these figures here of depression being 300 million, I mean, that's a worldwide figure, 40 million in America suffering from anxiety. So you believe that anxiety is top of the pile?
Yeah, I do. Given the modern world we live in, the speed in which we live, the absolute assault on our senses, I worry for my children, being of the generation that iPhones are, or should I say phones and social media, are part of their lives. I often think about taking the phone off my children and the MacBooks of the kids to see how they would react. We live in such a reactive society that I worry about how they study, because their attention span is so...
It's amazing that kids actually pass exams these days, isn't it?
I know, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's all bad, but as a mum, all I see are bad, but I see it's out of my control unless I'm going to move to a desert island, take my children with me, and, forget that we ever lived in society, in modernity, if you like, yeah, I don't think there's much we can do about it.
Do you think that like it's more identifiable in a man than a woman, or a boy and a girl?
Nope.
Do you think it's more detectable if you're teenagers, or if you're...
I think it's more understood now, especially of my children's generation. They're 19 and 17.
Of course.
And there's more support there for them as well.
It is much more of a...
But there's still not a great amount. Speaking from my own experience, when I am heading for depression, it has detrimental effect on everything in my life, and I slow down to the point of stopping, and I stop caring. I never stop caring about my children or my cats or my dog, ever. What you were talking about, uprooting and moving to Scotland for not a fresh start, but for a clearer mind, if you like, doesn't fit with my idea of depression and anxiety, because I almost regress. I would rather stay isolated and obviously isolated, and I don't take care of myself, shall we say. Those are my predoms, if you like. Those are my symptoms, my warnings about me about to get ill.
And in hindsight, if someone else was in that position, what would you say to them?
What I would want to say in the first instant is pick yourself up, go and get a shower, have something to eat, blah, 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 blah. But I know enough about mental health issues to just offer my support and to be a listening ear, and to just try and give someone a little lift, to be a little comfort blanket, just to hug them and mentally hug them and let them know I'm there. In some cases, just to be there in the same house or the same street or the same town or on the end of a phone.
And just having someone there, if you take yourself back, to your own moments. I take myself back, actually. There's been many times when I feel sad and down, and oh God, what am I going to do? And okay, I'm not comparing.
Being sad and down are so different to anxiety and depression. They're worlds apart. Is one thing I believe. You can be sad. You can be down, but it's not set in stone. It hasn't sunk into the woodwork. It's not in your bones. I've had incidents in my life. Losing a baby, husband dying, losing jobs, over the years, losing partners, friends, starting things that I was so positive about that didn't end well. All these things accumulate, they build up, blah, 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 blah. But probably if we're talking examples, the one that sticks in my mind was when I worked at the job centre in Forres, and my husband and I had lost a baby. We had got to 6 months in the pregnancy, and I lost him. It was probably the most traumatic experience of my entire life. So much so I wasn't actually aware of what was happening. I was on the ceiling somewhere watching it, and
like an out-of-body experience or something.
Yeah, it was horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous. I think it's the brain's way of coping. Like the brain's the equivalent of going la la la, not listening. That's kind of Sarah's interpretation of it. It's the brain shutting off because the reality is too much. This is just my experience. no disrespect to anyone else who have had massive life-changing experiences. But yeah, to cut a long story short, I was off work for a few months and was pressurised by my boss to come back. I went back too early. Not too early for everybody, but it was too early for me. And I ended up having a full breakdown at work during the day.
Can you recall that?
Bits of it. I remember walking out of the job centre. It was very hot. I remember that much. It was summer. We lost the baby in January, and this was spring, summer time, and I was interviewing someone in the job centre, and they'd given me a bit of lip, and I'd dealt with it. And then my boss came over and said, she said to me, "I don't like your accent. You speak too loudly. You're quite a loud person, Sarah. Could you just tone your voice down a bit?"
What year was this?
Oh gosh. Oh, wait a minute. When was my daughter born? She was born in 2002. It was 2003.
I don't think you could even get away with saying that to an employee now.
Oh, gee. This was a lady who had no children, and she was a bitch. She was a bitch. When she had children, she changed, but at the time, she was a bitch. Not the best boss to have. And I got up and just left my desk. I left my pod, my security key in my computer. I left my bag. I left my shoes because it was warm and I'd take my shoes off, as you do when you're sitting on a desk. I went to Grant Park, and that's pretty much the last thing I can remember. Apart from my mum taking me home hours later. Me wailing like an idiot in the front of the car. And yeah, I was off work for a good long while after that. But that to me was a breakdown. That was completely out of my control. But it wasn't when I just went away and cried. I actually, I pretty much lost it.
When you say that, lost it, can you recall?
Well, emotionally wise, there was probably every single emotion going on in my head, and I had blackouts. I can't remember. There were periods where I blacked out. It was a shutdown mechanism in my brain.
When you went back to work,
yeah, for a second time, you mean after?
What was your colleagues' reaction to that?
Wow. Well, there's another thing. Everybody pussyfooted around me, and it was horrible. And I was a bit perplexed, if I'm being honest. A bit surprised, a bit confused. And I had my line manager, we were I remember one incident, the only incident that really sticks in my memory was we were in the tea room, and my line manager had been chatting to us all, and she'd said something along the lines about somebody she knew or something. Oh my God, it was like she was mental. And then she looked at me and went, "Oh, sorry, Sarah, I didn't mean to say that." And she looked at me and she went, "Oh, sorry, Sarah, I didn't mean to say that." And I was genuinely surprised. And then she sniggered.
Sniggered?
She sniggered. Like it was taboo, like you said earlier. Like it was like it was taboo, but it's not taboo. This line manager, years later, went on to have a baby and postnatal depression. And I met her in the street once, and she said to me, "I said something to you when we worked together that was unforgivable, and I apologised profusely. I had no idea what it was like for you. And for that I apologise." I think because I, at the time, had felt that to talk about things then was absolutely fine, and I had lots of people to listen to me, my mum, my dad, my psychiatrist, and my friends, which was all fine. But when I got to work in a cliquey environment, it was a different kettle of fish. And that in itself was horrible. Having had mental health issues, like I say, from my teens, and I was in my 30s when I lost Murray, and having always talked about it and had supportive friends and family and practitioners, blah, 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 to find like-aged people that thought like that was a bit of an eye-opener. Really, it was. But then people don't understand it. I remember being told years ago by a doctor that it was no different than breaking a leg. And I can appreciate that, in that something's broken and it needs fixing. But it's such a complex subject. What do? Do you just think, yes, okay, it's like a broken leg and I'm going to take the medication and I'm going to get better and it's going to fix? That's the thing. I am an advocate for antidepressants. I always have been. They saved my life. When I had my incident in Forres, it took a while, but yeah, I was, I just moved up a couple of levels. I didn't want the world to end. And that was thanks to antidepressants. So, yeah. Is it like having a broken leg or a broken limb, an arm? At my worst, or my lowest point, I didn't think there was a way of going forward. I didn't think. It was just almost like a stop, and every emotion I had in me was all hitting me at the same time, and I didn't think there was a way out. I didn't think there was an end to it. But there is. When I spoke to the psychiatrist, I found it, although it didn't help me much, well, it obviously did, as you said, it obviously did inadvertently help me. When I spoke to her, it was easier to speak to her about losing the baby, the really heartfelt stuff that I couldn't tell my parents, I couldn't tell my friends, the real pain and the real agony. It was easier to tell a stranger. But that was when it had already got to the point where I really desperately needed help. Now, given having age on my side, that wouldn't be a thing. But I do understand that perhaps somebody younger would first of all seek solace with somebody they knew, and that would be a good thing. Seeing a stranger was easier for me than speaking to a member of my family. I didn't want, being the empath I am, I didn't want to burden my friends and family with my, oh my goodness, it sounds really terrible, waking nightmares about fears for the future, for my children, because the worst had happened to me. The worst happened. The worst thing that a mother could imagine happened to me and my husband. And that was enough to send me over the edge. I got help. I spoke to the psychiatrist, and it wasn't any help other than the fact that I could open up very difficult subjects for me, i.e. the nightmares I was having and about my existing child. And just how life had dealt me a bad hand.
Can I just ask, are these nightmares that still live with you?
No, not at all.
Is that an age thing? The fact that now your children are now a lot older?
No, it's not at all. I and my husband, we got pregnant again very quickly because it was either do or don't. And we had my daughter the following year. And for the whole time I was pregnant, I worried. And when she was born, I worried. And then when she was at primary school, I think it was, I relaxed because, what will be, will be. My daughter was an amazing child, as was my son, but I just relaxed because she was here and she was not a baby anymore. It's strange, as a mum, you hear of people having accidents, doom and gloom. Oh, so-and-so's child got run over by a bus or got cancer or whatever, and you ask, the first thing you ask is their age, or where was it, what happened, and it's...
Why do you think people do that?
I don't know.
Is it because they can
empathise or whatnot? I don't know. If somebody was to tell me that their child had, say, terminal cancer, the first thing I would ask is their age. Compare them.
I mean, I remember going to the doctors once when something wasn't quite right in my life, and I did sit down and did explain that things don't feel right to me, and I can't remember the ins and outs of it or what it was about, but I sat down in front of the doctor and I said, things don't feel right, I don't feel myself, I don't feel normal, I don't feel like my head's here.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really pinpoint it at all, but he literally just wanted to put me on pills.
It's just masking it, isn't it, really? It's masking the issue. But it's, like I say, it's worked for me. It has. It's
well, why did it work?
I'm a thinker. I am a thinker. I understand that the tablets are there just to support me, to bring me up to the point of being okay to deal with my day.
You're not still on pills, are you?
Yeah.
You are?
Oh, yeah.
Is that going to be a lifetime commitment?
They don't make me any worse or any better, so why would I come off them?
Well, you just said that make you any worse or better.
It's indifferent. I don't feel that. I know I've not had a depression for a long time. They keep me. The best way to describe them is they keep me on the straight and narrow. I'm dull, but I'm happy.
What would happen if you weren't taking the pills?
I don't know. I've never tried to come off them.
How long has this been for?
Oh, gosh.
Like 20 years?
33 years.
33 years. So you're literally going back to 18?
18, 19, yeah.
And what was it that triggered that at that age?
Who knows? Nothing specific. I just was not well at all. I come from... my mum has mental health issues. My dad is fine, but my dad's sisters were quite poor. Not all of them, but one of them was quite ill. I was, in all honesty, it was like heaven sent to take a tablet. If it keeps me normal, if it keeps me content, why would I not take one every day? Why?
I think the only reason would be because you don't know what it's like to not take them, but you're actually relying on something
bear in mind I'm 52. I'm 52 years old. I'm not just sitting out in my life, and
But you were 18.
I was. Yeah.
That's the only thing.
It's a bit of a mishmash of contradictions there, but yeah. What I would say is, if you're offered help by anyone, be it friend, practitioner, parent, teacher, whatever, take the help, take the advice, take the support. My main objective in life is to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't be happy, it's to be content. I think that's one. Maybe happy and content go together, but the one thing I try to avoid is unhappiness, because unhappiness leads to other things, and like being unhappy for too long, which can cause depression, anxiety issues, social issues, personal issues, and whatnot. But I think as long as you're happy, whatever you're doing, you with your sport, with your endorphins, natural endorphins, that's great. I was like you once, before I had children. I was fit, I was healthy before I had kids. I didn't take to motherhood very easily. Yeah, and I gave up my sport. I used to swim. I was told I could compete, and I'm only talking when I was like in my mid-20s, early 30s. I was swimming at competitive levels.
Well, tell us about that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I used to Sydenham Baths.
Sydenham, yeah, I Sydenham, Penge.
Yeah.
Norwood, rivals, Crystal Palace. We don't even talk about
that.
Yeah.
I used to work at the top of Beulah Hill.
Oh, I know Beulah Hill. Yeah.
I used to work in the pub. Top there.
Okay.
But no, I used to swim, and I used to swim every day. I was unemployed. This is before, when I got my qualification in photography, my HND, and I went out and about, and I tried to find work, and I had a good portfolio, a good book. But I was told on numerous occasions that I didn't have the look, because I've always been large. I've always been larger than the rest of my family.
When were you told that?
Funny enough, by the BBC.
That's
one of the BBC
unbelievable.
photographers.
You'd never get away with that now.
No, you wouldn't, but then you did. Yeah. I was told on numerous occasions, your book's great, your work is phenomenal, it's brilliant.
What do they want you to do? Strip off?
Don't have the look, darling.
Well, what are you supposed to do? You're a photographer. You're going to be
Starve
behind the
myself
camera.
to death. Starve myself to death.
You're behind the
Look
camera, though, not in front of it. What do you need to look like anything for?
I couldn't even get a voluntary. Well, I did. I ended up getting a voluntary job through a friend of mine who was working for them at Elite Premier in Covent Gardens. High-end photography company, model management. So, yeah, I took photographs for them, but I worked for them for 12 months, and I was never paid, but you didn't get paid. You didn't do it for that. You didn't do it for the money. So, yeah, I managed to get a placement with them for 12 months, and yeah, I mean, London, there's a whole new, but you're from London.
South London.
You're a London boy.
SE7.
You are.
South London.
I was SE9.
Is wonderful.
SE9.
Mm-hmm. So SE9 is Eltham.
And then SE18, which was Woolwich.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, SE9 to 18 sounds like a long way, but it's not. It's actually like 2 miles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
SE7, SE9, SE18, they're all my postcodes. You must have known Flamingos then.
Flaming Joe's.
Yes, Flaming
Joe's. Of course
Joe's.
I did. We used to go there on a Tuesday.
To get this, was that Grab a Granny night, was it?
No, it was the Northern Soul.
Squaddies night.
Northern Soul. No, it wasn't. It was a Northern Soul night over 21s or something like that. We used to
boring
go there.
as.
Northern Soul's wonderful music.
Northern Soul with Flaming Joe's doesn't sound right.
I know. You wouldn't think it. I'll tell you the other place we used to go up.
Do you remember Spooks?
I remember Spooks. That was
I just say I went in
that was
there
a
one
cattle
night.
market.
I went in there one night after Charlton beat Chelsea 3-0 on a Saturday. One of the best days ever.
Cattle market.
Oh, with all cattle markets, Flaming Joe's was like the biggest cattle market
Flaming
of
Joe's
all.
was the worst, but we were always with the job centre crowd, so we were
job
quite
centre-
cliquey.
The job centre that considering we're sitting up here in Elgin, North East Scotland, the job centre that I once signed on in as a teenager.
Was the job centre I worked in.
You probably worked in there.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a cab driver in Elton, data cars.
Oofed.
I used to work in the Weatherspoons as well, Banker's Draft.
I know the Banker's
Used to
Draft.
work on Wellhall Road. I used to live on Wellhall Road.
I know Wellhall Road. What about the Hungry Horse
Yes, Hungry Horse.
on Shooters Hill Road? Because that's
Yep.
where I lived. I lived in Shooters
Yeah,
Hill
all
Road.
these
in the village.
places. But my mates are living well in, and
I used to walk to the Sun and Sands.
yes, Sunny Sands. Never a pub for Charlton because it was too far away from the ground. But,
No, was it? Yeah.
but yeah, run past it. Having done the
Mhm.
marathon a few times.
Marathon ran past my window, Shooters Hill Road. It was great.
Did they piss in your garden? Because they
No.
normally piss at
No,
about
we
that
were-
point.
We were sort of 20 feet off from the main drag. We were the second. There was a big flower bed there.
How long? When was that? So how long ago was that?
Oofed, I got there in, goodness, when was I in London? Well, I was there 13 years, and I left in, well, saw the Millennium,
Mm-hmm.
and got itchy feet to come home.
So I'll go
Around
the other
about
way.
2004, 2005.
Yeah.
Got a secondment to Glasgow, where I met my husband, and worked for a company called Working Links, who were seconded from. They were a subsidiary of the job centre, and worked there, and then got a transfer up to Forres.
See, there's nothing I miss really. I mean, other than my kids who were down there. But then
You
know,
will do.
Jude comes up here though anyway, and he's
Yeah.
got his own bedroom here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm toying with the idea of, my house is going to sell next year. I could go back then, but I would miss Elgin. I do love Elgin. Genuinely love Elgin. I love it. It's the happiest I've ever been living anywhere. I love it. I know the high street is dying. I know there's a problem now, but as far as the people are concerned, the cleanliness, the respect for people, the respect for the police, things like the walks, the runs, the park, the regeneration, the 2 million I think that's going into Elgin to do the place up. I just love living here. I do, and if I went back, I would miss it, and that's what I have to think. I do have to think that, and I've got kids down there who are virtually he's an adult, and the other one is going to be 16 next year. So do you move back? Just to kind of play a bit part, or that one of the reasons why I settled here was because I was thinking of myself and where I wanted to be, where I wanted to be happy, and where I could introduce my children to, and that's what I've done, and I've set up everything here now. I don't believe in going backwards, and so I would like to stay.
What makes you, sorry for turning it around, but what makes you happy up here?
What I've just said,
Yeah, but is it like
Society.
the traffic?
no, society,
The
people. The people, the friendliness, the cleanliness.
See, I always knew that. I'd been born and raised in Stirling and then Burghead. I've always had, it's second nature for me to be surrounded by lovely, polite people that know everything about you and whatnot. And when I went to London, the biggest thing for me was, I was starstruck by the enormity of London. It's huge, and
Well, it's in your face 24/7.
which I was constantly in awe of. But the thing that got me was a bit like you were saying. Was the way people were. It was a rat race. My dad explained it once, and
People
I
don't
remember
talk to each
coming
other.
home and saying, "Oh, Dad, there's something awful happened," and this old man, and the train was coming, and people just stepped over him,
People
and he
do
fell,
that.
and
Yeah,
blah blah
people
blah blah.
do step over people.
And I was horrified, and I missed my last train, and I had to get my uncle to come and get me, and just trying to get him up and into hospital because he'd cut his head, and This wee old chap was about 150, God love him. And I picked him up, and I was fighting with people that were stepping over me. You know, it was horrifying. But just another day, because it's a rat race. You put too many people in one place, and this is what happens.
I remember having my first ever joint in Euro 96.
Goodness
when
gracious.
England, I was 25. And at Tulse Hill.
Tulse Hill.
Yeah, I worked in as a Ladbrokes manager at Tulse Hill.
Wow.
And I went in the pub. I can't remember what it's called, but it was on Norwood Road anyway, the High Street. And there was 3 Ladbrokes shops in that road, actually. And I went
Is that
in.
just a mile from the IKEA, isn't it? The IKEA's close there.
Croydon, yeah. But I went in.
I'm a shopper.
But I went in the pub, and I think England got knocked out that. I don't know. I think they got knocked out that night to Germany. They were wearing the grey shirts anyway in Euro 96. I know you're not a football fan, but I got.
I live with football fans and
But-
DJs, so yeah.
But Gaza missed one on the
Oh,
on the
yes.
line. He missed one on the line. He could have knocked in. I think we got knocked out on penalties, and I remember having a joint that night, getting on a train from Tulse Hill, and I don't remember the first bit of it, but I remember coming down on the train from London Bridge back to Sidcup, I think, and I got to about New Cross, and all of a sudden I woke up,
Like, oh my God.
and I was laying on the floor. Looking up
Oh,
at the
my
ceiling of the
days.
train,
On the train.
and there was about 6 people looking down at me. And I was like, I'm really sorry, but I think someone spiked my drink.
Yeah.
And then
I've not had a whitey, honest.
I remember some woman said to me, standing there staring at me, like, with what? And I just picked myself up and kind of fell out the doors at New Cross and sat there and waited for the next train to come back down. And that was my first experience of a joint ever.
Yeah.
Tell me, what for someone who's lived in London and Glasgow, how would you differentiate between the two?
Oh my goodness. Glasgow people are wonderful. They're friendly.
The Rangers side of it, yeah.
Can I say fuck off? Am I allowed to? No. They are, generally. If you take the football out of it, Glasgow is amazing.
It's hard to take the football out of Glasgow, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. When as I was telling you, I seconded up to Glasgow. I went to a certain job centre. I'm not going to say who it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fuck it. They'll never hear me. I went to Maryhill Job Centre to meet my prospective employer. And he said to me, so, you've come from London? I was like, yeah. So what have you done down there? And I was like, oh, I've done this, I've done that. I'm a manager and blah, 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 blah. And he said, but what's your colours?
All right. You blue and white or green and white?
And I said, what do you mean? I'd been 13 years out of Scotland, and then it clicked, and I said, sorry mate, I'm not
Newcastle.
Catholic, I'm nothing. And he said to me, well, I'll tell you now, we're green here.
Oh my goodness.
We're green. And I said, well, that suits me fine.
I'm
And
blue.
I got the job.
What were you?
Nothing.
Well, what would you have been?
Nothing.
Well, what? Okay. Have you been with someone who was either way?
Absolutely. I've been with Celtic. My husband was a Tim. He was a Tim Alloy.
What is a Tim Alloy?
Tim. A wee Tim Celtic.
What is Tim?
Catholic residents somewhere along the lines. I don't know. Tim Alloy? I don't know.
Being a Catholic, I feel bad for not knowing what Tim is, but I don't.
Okay, Scottish Catholics and English Catholics are probably quite different.
Well.
But I've also lived with a Rangers fan. That wasn't much fun, I've got to be honest. That's one of the reasons I hate football, is because my night was determined by the result of a bloody football game.
Isn't every woman's who's with a football fan?
It's true, Luke, it's true. And it's not nice. Do you know most of the incidents in hospitals, A&E, in Glasgow, were caused by Old Firm matches? That's no word of a lie.
Have
What
you
a life.
You got any
What a life.
experience of a...
No.
No.
No. I haven't. No.
Doesn't surprise me.
Why? Because I'm big enough to take care of myself.
No. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that most of the incidents, like a result of an old firm match.
Yeah. It's not a good thing.
Okay,
We're
well,
off on a tangent.
yeah, you're going off on the tangent,
Yeah,
and we'll be
that's what
very
I do.
far. But I'm just going to quickly wrap this up for the last time, and say that anyone who's been watching this, we understand there are many forms of mental health. You know, there's nobody out there that can tell you you're right, you're wrong, or this is not, the serious as that. It doesn't really matter. It's how it feels to you. And if it feels like it's a big issue to you,
then it is a big issue.
Then it is a big issue, because what's a big issue to you might not be a big issue to someone else. Yeah. So nobody to judge. Every case is unique in itself. And if anyone's watching this, they can just draw anything from this. We just want to keep reiterating is that, to recognise there's a problem, to talk about the problem, and as we've said already, talking, sleep on it, wake up, things won't be so bad in the morning, and it is a temporary moment as well in your life. The other thing I want to say, especially for younger people, and I'm reaching out to my own kids when I say this, if you're watching,
your babies,
log off.
Oh fuck yes.
I'm actually need a mirror here to actually say that to myself
say
as well.
Say it yourself.
Because we all do it.
I know. Yep.
Log off and prioritise your sleep. Because do you know what? One of the things when I've been stressed, and I've been stressed here, and I've not slept well, and there's been periods of time over the last few years I've not slept well, but when I start prioritising sleep and you start going to bed earlier, and more, it's difficult for me. I'm on a late rotor, but when I have addressed it, it makes a fantastic difference. To get a full night's sleep, it's got gold dust.
But your kids, like my kids, are not of the generation where they. I mean, Luke, you and I are the same age. No, we're not. Okay.
We're not.
I'm 2 years older than you. We're almost the same age. We're of the same genre, generation. I mean,
2.5.
2.5.
3 years.
No, okay, 3. I'll give you 3. I'm 53 next year.
No, but sleep is a really massive thing.
But phones weren't a thing. I didn't have a phone until I was, 22, 23. So, but my daughter is bad.
My son, he is, I don't want to say he's addicted to FIFA, but...
How old's your boy?
15.
15.
15 this year, on the 20th of August. Yeah, he's... What is that like? I mean, I was brought up using PlayStations and Mega Drives and whatever, and now with the online aspect of it, it's massively addictive, and I can understand that. I've been addicted to gaming myself. Before I moved up here, I was gaming when I was DJing, and I was working Fridays, Saturdays, sometimes Thursdays and Sundays. But when I had 3 or 4 days a week, and all I had to do was prep my sets, I was gaming for sometimes 15, 16 hours a day.
Good Lord.
So I can totally relate to that, because I didn't want to go to sleep. I didn't want to. So how can I turn around and tell my child that I don't understand that? Because I do understand that. What? Because I'm a parent, I should do that. Yeah. It's like, who told us that we should get married and we should have one partner in our lifetime? Yeah. It's like, where did that come from? Is there a rule book when we were born? Did we come with a book that said that we have to
must do this,
marry one person and
XYZ?
Maybe we're supposed to be with multiple partners in our lifetime. Maybe we're not supposed to live with anybody.
Easier.
Well, the Africans, they have 8 wives. But
what do you mean the
I can't keep one woman happy, let alone 8. Well, no, I can keep one woman happy. And what I mean is, I'm not going to say any more about it, actually, because, but what I mean is...
Do you mean tribal communities?
No, but I mean, I wouldn't want to be responsible for trying to keep 8 women happy at the same time.
For fuck's sake.
Well, I'm not... Hang on a minute.
Now who's going on a tangent?
Um,
Okay, I appreciate what you're saying.
I'm not talking about.
Loosely.
I'm not talking about that in a sexual way, but
No.
But who's to say that? Who is to say that we
Should be monogamous.
that we should
We should stick
that we
with
need
one
to meet with
person.
one person? That's our lifelong. I mean, some people said to me that
Monogamy is full of shit. I don't believe it. I don't.
some people said to me that relationships are much better if you don't live with people.
Absolutely. 100%.
So why do we all do it?
Well, I haven't. I got burned many times. Do you know, Luke, as a 50-year-old divorcee with her own business, with 2 children that are about to fly the coop, with 2 cats and a dog, I can quite honestly say, I've also got a wide circle of friends who are very diverse, very different, and all, some are married, some are single, some are gay, some are trans, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honestly say that from social point of view, my friends are enough, and I get enough from them, and I'm quite happy living on my own. One, I don't want to share a bed with anyone. I did it for many years. I was married for 10, then I had another partner for 4. 14 years out of my life, sharing a bed with someone. No, thank you. Don't like it.
What makes you say that?
Oh my goodness.
It doesn't have to be a bad experience.
It's horrible.
What's horrible about that?
Well, here we go. Back to me and my issues. I have restless leg syndrome.
Well, a lot of women do that. Especially at your age, because it's an age, isn't it? Thing.
It is.
Hormonal thing.
It's a menopausal thing, yes.
I've been with a couple of people.
Oh.
I've been in relationships. I've been in relationships where people can't settle down.
No,
and it
yeah.
affects everything. Your sleep and.
Yep.
It's not. I'm not criticising the condition or anything or anybody. It's
not
just
really
a fact.
a condition. It's just a thing.
It's a thing.
I'm sure it is a condition, but
I mean,
to me, it's not a thing. To me, it's just a thing. I get legs that I cannot keep still. I have to stretch. I would like somebody. I've got to watch what I'm saying here. Suspend me from the ceiling.
That sounds like bondage to me.
By the back of the ankles, yeah.
That sounds like a whole.
That's a new.
That's a whole
talk
different.
show.
That's a whole different topic.
That's one for much later than 11 o'clock.
No, but I mean, okay. Obviously, you suffer like a lot of women do suffer with menopause and that. So I understand that. But a lot of men, on the flip side of it, snore. So there's.
I snore. Can I tell you
sound
why
like a
I know?
menopausal snorer. Is that total
Can I tell you why I know I snore?
You've recorded yourself?
Yes.
Oh God.
I got something called the sleep app. Or the sleep, what else it's called? The sleep app, the sleep recorder. That's what it's called.
Called yourself sounded like a
And it's
dinosaur.
free. God almighty. Not only do I snore, in fact, I don't snore a lot. What I do is apparently get out of my bed, shout and scream, kick walls and whatnot. This is
Jesus.
what I do. Yeah.
That's a problem.
I would not put anybody through that.
Crikey. Can I just share a story with you, actually?
Please
at this point?
do.
Just to change the subject, to deflect away from your embarrassment. When I was 10, I think, we went to Bulgaria. We stayed in Sofia in a hotel. And I always remember that holiday because my mum, she found a couple of little puppies. She found a couple of little puppies next to the hotel in the grounds. It was like some sort of cabbage patch or something. But always remember, I've got a photo somewhere of her holding these little puppies. And anyway, on that holiday, I woke up in the middle of the night in laying on next door's bed. On the bed of the people in the next room.
So you got up and walked.
It was worse than that.
Go on.
It was
You
worse.
peed on them. You did, didn't
It was
you?
worse than that. No, did you shit on them? I got up, and I let myself. We're on the 20th floors up.
Oofed.
I let myself onto the balcony,
Uh-huh.
and I climbed over from our balcony to the next door balcony.
Jesus
A gap of, I
Christ.
guess it was about that big, about that much.
Yeah, we had to do that once in Tenerife, but that's another story.
And
Tenerife.
apparently I was smashing their door down and they let me in. My mum was crazy and annoyed with me.
I bet she was.
She wasn't happy
But-
that I was
but-
alive, but she was just annoyed with me.
But what couldn't she actually do because you were sleeping?
Exactly. I hadn't done nothing wrong. But yeah, I've always remembered that, and I've always told people that story. So everybody who knows me probably heard that story many times. But yeah, no, yeah, but embarrassing though. But
Yeah.
you can think, imagine. I mean, there was a gap. There was a gap. I remember, you know, like these old hotel rooms. You'd have your balconies, and when
Yeah,
you were really high,
like
sometimes you'd have the glass
again.
partition.
Yeah.
But there was no partition.
So it was like the space about that.
Yeah, it was just a climb across. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's quite
We did that in
freaky.
Tenerife. Staying at a friend's balcony, and my son wanted to have a snooze, and we said, "Well, bring the keys down to the beach when you come." And he forgot, and the door slammed shut. So we had to knock on one of the tenants, try and find somebody that was in, and we found one to the left of us, 2 down. And yeah, Craig, my partner, had to go through their balcony and climb over, and like you say, there was a sheer drop of about 40 feet. And he had to grab on to the, and whoops, walking past the next neighbours, "Hello, sorry, you're standing there. I'm not looking." And then into the next one and open the balcony doors. Yeah. So you just stay in Elgin. Goodness sake, stay where you're at.
Well,
Have you enjoyed your after eights?
yeah, I have, because I think I've eaten all of these, and you haven't had any of it.
I haven't.
No.
Luke, do you ever wish you were on a desert island?
Gosh,
I do.
question.
Oh God, it's a biggie for me.
I would be quite happy, I think, on a desert island for a period of time. I think I could probably do a month or so.
I would like to rid myself of all my anxieties, because I mean, when you're on a desert island, you have to strip it back, don't you?
Well, I've got to tell you what, I've got a perfect suggestion for you.
Where am I going?
Tibet. Because in Tibet, you can go to
I'm not climbing any
monasteries.
mountains. I'm not.
You can go to the monasteries in Tibet and join the Tibetan monks. And there are package holidays that you can take where you spend a week in a monastery with the Tibetan monks, and you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you have a bowl of rice and you walk around, and you don't be in that week or whatever time you spend there, you can't speak to anybody, and it gets to you. And some people can't hack it, and some people crack up, some people will cry, but it's an amazing experience if you can get through it. Because
Do you know anybody that's done it?
yes,
Do you?
yeah. Yeah,
Did they enjoy it, or did they get?
Just it was
much
an amazing
from it, or-
experience, you know.
Yeah.
Afterwards, it's a bit like running a marathon, you know. It's like when you're doing it, it's like pure torture, but when you've done it, you think it's like every runner. They love running when they're not running. It's all a mindset, you know. It's getting
When the run
managing
is
it.
hell, yeah.
It's managing the run, and it is hard. It's not easy. Like nothing that's good for you is easy.
Absolutely.
But it's, you know, that week apparently in a Tibetan monastery, you might be able to do it at Plus Card, I don't know, but it's amazing apparently to spend a week amongst people and not speak. Sounds bizarre, but
You see, I'd be worried about what the Buddhists were thinking about it. I'd be like, do they know I'm just here because I'm a tourist or I've paid money to do
right.
this?
So you
And-
think it might be a tourist trap?
well, I'm just an anxious person and worry about everybody else and everything that's so that sounds like something that somebody with a big ego would like. Is that cruel to say that?
Well, that's almost like
See, I'd be worrying about the guys, the monks and the Buddhists, and thinking, ooh.
So you think it's a tourist trap?
Yeah.
This has been a talk about mental health. You know, we're not saying we're experts on mental health. We're not. But all we can share experiences, and we hope that if anybody's watched this or is watching bits of it, dropping in, dropping out, just to kind of, get in contact with us. Get in contact if there's ever anyone out there who's got any kind of problem, get in contact with the show.
Absolutely.
Get in contact with Cafe Kombucha. If you need someone to talk to, that is the key. Is to just managing that moment when things don't feel quite right. But on that note, we're going to leave it, and I thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I will give you a fist bump and I will ask you to turn off the on-air sign as well.
I'm looking forward to it. Good night.
All my people right here, right now. Do you know what I mean?
If you would like to sponsor The Honest Luke Show, please message us through YouTube or Facebook at The Honest Luke Show, or by email thehonestluke@gmail.com.